All right, hello everyone. Here we are setting up for hole 5 of the Master Tournament. And here you can see that it is going to be the Paris par 5. This is actually a very challenging one, especially depending on the wind that they give us. So I haven't seen what the wind is on this one either. So I prepared with Sniper, and I'm hoping it's going to be good enough. But it's also going to require a good tee shot here. So it looks like we might be okay. Now, usually when I land to this second fairway, it's a little bit more downhill than the top fairway. So you may want to use some elevation, but maybe not for the first fairway. So you'll see from the tee box, from the take shot view, whenever my opponent eventually actually goes to shoot, the first fairway's a little bit downhill, but the second fairway's way downhill. So it might just be something to think about, maybe like a +5 or a +10, especially towards if you're actually landing on the second fairway to use elevation here. However, I don't think we're going to be able to land towards the second fairway. So probably not even going to even think about that there. So here we're going to do something in the effect of this. And, I might just go a +5%. So it looks like about 10 rings. We're just going to try with the Kingmaker. Should be enough. If I can land somewhere in this vicinity, should be pretty good. So there's 5 rings. And there's 10-ish rings right in there. And you'll see I won't be able to overpower this very much. So there you can see, catch my perfect ball. And let's just see if I can get this curl down, hopefully. Looks like a little bit too aggressive. I was trying to get it over there and shoot it into that gap. I wanted to make sure that I could get it left enough. However, missing in this rough, it's going to be a layup hole. So just be a little bit cautious with how much you curl that. I wasn't really 100% sure how much that wind effect was really going to take there. And you could see that I just overestimated it. So using about half the curl that I just did would probably be much better. I used almost full there. So I was using probably 80 or 90. Probably should have used about 40. So a couple things that I can do here. I can either pitch out and just kind of show you guys how we could have played this from the Sniper, or I could, pitch up here, get it up into this fairway, and we could go for eagle. But I'm just going to kind of set up here, I guess, just because I think, we can get here relatively easy with an Epoch 5 somewhere in this fashion. And we'll just take a look at what it would have been had I actually, kind of threaded that and got the rollout that I wanted. So this hole does notoriously play uphill. This is actually one of the higher uphill holes in the game. So if you've ever seen it, I'm actually thinking somewhere maybe in the neighborhood of maybe -15. You'll see that this is a very, very substantial uphill. Now wait until it goes to take shot, and you can see that the hole's just way up there. It's disappeared. So when I say something's like way uphill, this hole is way uphill. You can see that the whole incline is uphill. And you can see that I'm using a +15 or +20. But this is going to be some of the most uphill holes in the game. If you're using that much with the new distance, and you also see that it's just a side wind here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we're only going to pull to a side wind. So you'll see that I pull over. And it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 rings. And you'll also see that I need to try to get this distance down a little bit without getting it to run through too much. And you can see that it's very easy to run through. So you got to be a little bit careful. There's a couple bad bounces in here. And I'll just have to there's 5, there's 10. And you can see that I also needed some overpower as well. But as I mentioned, way uphill hole here. So you do need to be just a little bit careful. And here it is still rolling through. So length is going to be kind of a deciding factor as to what you're going to want to do there. But you can see that you're going to be able to, especially with, if you bring a cataclysm with this wind, since it's not a tailwind, you'll see that you'll be able to at least put the ball on the hole without needing to go overpower there. And with me actually going to overpower, it's probably more like a plus 5%. So I probably could have came down on this one case. Just because I'm going into power means max no longer applies. So had I gone, maybe just a little bit more rings. Now this only works for if I'm going into power. You have roughly 7% or so for every club of overpower. So if I'm using about half power, I'm changing max by 3 or 4%. So changing my elevation, for instance, is just going to kind of offset that. However, it is a very, very uphill hole, and minus 15, minus 20 is going to be pretty spot on for what you need for that hole. However, since I was going into overpower, I just need to kind of offset that a little bit. And since we don't have separate, separate elevations, we don't want to confuse people too much. I just kind of combine them. If my elevation's minus 15 and my overpower is plus 5, it just kind of nets, if you add them together, minus 10. So that's only going to apply for overpower shots, though. So do be careful with that, as you won't need to do that very often. Good luck with that hole, guys, and I will see you guys on hole 6 coming up.